The year is 2003. Black Eyed Peas have just released the song Where Is the Love? It's Valentine's weekend. And Calum, where is the love for McInnes and scoring goals?
That was a big stretch. There's no love. There is no love. We're putting in the same performance every single week. Nothing new to say on it. It's terrible. But if you want to stick around for it, make sure you subscribe to the channel or follow us wherever you're listening. It was another boring game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really wasn't. Good shout on the following and subscribing, because we made it to 250 subscribers. Thank you very much. Not thank you to the one person who decided to unfollow us after Friday's preview. Was it really that bad? If you thought it was that bad, then you obviously didn't watch the 90 minutes either. But 1,000 followers on the Twitter page at RTG Podcast. But no, Calum, yeah, it was absolutely dreadful. Will we be like Andrew Shiney and blame the weather for the game?
I mean, we could. It didn't help, but at the same time, they've just been serving up the same performance every time. So there's not really much odds of the weather, I suppose. It's dreadful football regardless.
And the thing is that the weather applies to both teams. But hopefully, this review is going to actually last longer than 2 minutes, and it's actually going to include some football chat. So football chat was two up top, Flo Canberry and Fraser Hornby. What was your thoughts on them two? Obviously, I think it was quite apparent they'd only had 1 day of training.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, there isn't much football to be speaking about. Canberry maybe looked a little bit better than some of our strikers we've had this season, but not much better. Hornby, he looks like a man who's not played for 6 months and has not trained the whole week, which is. But it does beg the question: why would you include him? But here we are.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. We're needing a goal. Oh, that's going to have to get cut out.
Brilliant. Might just leave this in.
We're needing a goal, and Fraser Hornby's he's trying. I think that's what we should put his free kick down to. Trying.
Oh man! At first I was like, "Oh, that looked like a good hit." Then I saw the angle from behind him. I was like, "Nowhere near it. Absolutely miles away. I could have done better." He tried. That's about all we can say.
Yeah, I had a Zoom call for the duration of the game with my friend Finlay in Australia, so it was nice to actually chat to someone throughout the game, kind of what it would be like if we were at Pittodrie, although I think if we were at Pittodrie, we'd have probably left up maybe not long after half time, if that. The angle after the goal, because he was like, "Oh, that looked close," and we both fell about laughing when we saw the angle from behind the goals. It was probably going nearer the corner flag than the goal.
Yeah, I said to my dad, I was like, "Oh, that's a good hit," and then it wasn't a good hit at all. No.
Dean Campbell came into midfield, and we saw Ross McCrory drop back into centre half. I actually thought Dean had a good game. Got man of the match from Red TV.
Yeah, I think deservedly so. Interestingly, wearing the Under Armour, so debunks our theory, unfortunately.
Don't blame him, though, yesterday.
Yeah, true, very true. No, he looked solid in there. That's one positive we can maybe take. He looked less anonymous than like Ferguson and McCrory have in recent weeks. That's about what we can say about it. But no, he looked solid, didn't look out of place. Fine.
An excellent ball through to Niall McGinn in the first half, using the wind perfectly to float it into McGinn, who I think sums up our recent games so far with that control.
I mean, I think the whole thing did. It looked like he's looking for Hornby, and then it sort of sailed into McGinn's path, and it's like, oh my God, that's a worldie of a ball. And then the man who we've been calling to start just fell over it, and it was embarrassing, but it was enjoyable nonetheless.
Yeah, it was probably about one of the only things to stick out in that first half. And if for those of you on Twitter, if you follow JJ Bull, you'll notice he's done an analysis of the game briefly at full time. And it was a kind of slating of Red TV where he said, there were some positive plays, and he just totally debunked that theory. But he also highlights how good a game Dean Campbell had, because yes, he might have been anonymous, but he was looking for the ball, and he was trying to actually get it forward.
He was anonymous.
No. I know what you meant.
Okay.
And you're meaning he wasn't as not anonymous compared to other players, but I know Dean Campbell sometimes comes in for criticism on social media, but what JJ was saying was he might have appeared anonymous, but every time he was, getting in space, he was looking for the ball and trying to move us forward, which is desperately what we're needing when we're trying to score goals.
And maybe it's something that he's come in for criticism before previously, maybe being a bit too safe. So that is encouraging to see, I suppose. If we can take any encouragement from the game at all, then it's probably that.
Yeah, and I suppose, someone that we did say would start, Niall McGinn, we discussed there standing on the ball. Do you think that just showed his lack of match sharpness?
Yeah, probably. And to be fair, it was probably quite a hard one to control considering the wind and all that. That's the one time you probably could do it, and the spin on the ball probably didn't help him. But it was just funny. Honestly, that and the Fraser Hornby free kick misses are the only two things that stick out in my head from the whole game.
And I think that just sums up Aberdeen just now, that it's these absolutely tragic pieces of play or control that are standing out in what's just been a sorry state of affairs the last 5 games. Obviously, we tried 2 up top.
Straight now. Oh, we'll just leave them in. Carry on.
We tried 2 up top, and I don't really think it worked. I think it's quite evident that those 2 up top had one training session between them in the week leading up to the game.
Yeah, it was very clear. There were misplaced passes between them and all that. To be fair, when the lineup came out, it was a bit like, okay, that's at least something. It's a bit more positive. McGinn's in there as well. But then it did. All that happiness and confidence was gone within probably about 15 minutes of seeing how we were playing.
Yeah, just not enjoyable. And we didn't really do anything to change our setup throughout. Obviously, St Mirren were forced into changes through injury, but we waited, and we did eventually bring on Calum Hendry and Conor McLennan.
I thought you say Colin McLennan.
I was, right. Yes. Both for a game that really offered nothing. I felt those two offered nothing again.
Yeah, basically. But at the same time, when you're giving them like 15 minutes, I mean, what are you expecting them to do? It's so annoying how late he leaves it when it's such a dull game. You could, if nothing changes at half from like 10 minutes after half time, and they've clearly not taken whatever you've said at half time on board, why would you not change it then? But here we are. It's the story of our season.
Here we are. We're not in the dugout. He is. He got a vote of confidence. No one gives us any confidence, but hey ho.
I wish I was on a fat paycheck like him to do that sort of nonsense.
And then another man not given a lot of time to make an impact, Ethan Ross. He got the Bruce Anderson treatment. Yeah,
but what's the point in giving him that amount of length of time? Surely, okay, I can understand maybe no one give him like half an hour or whatever, but you could give him like 15 minutes or something when it's not going the way. What's the point? Well, not going our way. What's the point of giving him 5 minutes? And he did actually look a little bit sharp. He did try and make some things happen in his short time on the ball. Looked a bit more direct, which is what we needed, but not enough time to make an impact. Shock, horror.
Yeah, and I think as well in a game yesterday when the conditions were the way they were, it's a game where the ball needs to be on the deck. Your Ethan Rosses, your Conor McLennans, they like having the ball at their feet and running at defenders. So why are you giving these guys limited game time to make that sort of impact? But that's just been a classic McInnes trait of recent years, reluctance to change his tactics.
And it's funny that you mentioned Bruce Anderson as well. Scored and bagged an assist at Hamilton. Meanwhile, we can't even score a goal.
Yeah, I know he's absolutely flying down at Aki's. So I wonder if there's a recall option in that loan.
God, imagine. That would be nice. But no, I can't imagine we'll be stuck with Flo Canberry and Hornby hoofball.
Yeah. At full time, it's safe to say, I think the general feeling now is there's not much anger. Would you say, or did you feel angry at full time?
No, I now can't be arsed, in all honesty. I was just like, it's the same performance from the previous 4 weeks. Oh, well, it's just it might be a draw, we might win. We might draw, we might lose. Nothing new to say. I'm just like, okay, I put on the rugby. That was shit. And then I put on the basketball later on, and Miami Heat lost as well. So it's
no pressure in Newcastle for you then.
No, it's only Chelsea. Oh, God.
But, you and Duthie had said the quite alarming thing is it's apathy is taking over from anger. And arguably that's worse.
Yeah.
Because if folk can't even get angry at the run of form we're in, what hope do we have?
It's interesting. I think it looks kind of like the same way with Celtic as well right now, which is quite interesting that they sort of seemed angry to start with. There was a few banners and things, and now they're just like, just accepting it. And that's what we're doing. It's just like acceptance now that we're just this mediocre fodder and we're not going to achieve anything, but nobody really cares anymore because it's so easy to just switch off, go on to the next thing or whatever. Typical.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just not enjoyable
and speaking
at all.
of banners, there's actually been more banners outside Pittodrie than we've scored goals at Pittodrie this year.
And one of them was a McInnes one.
Yeah, and on that McInnes in banner, that's fine. People are allowed their opinions, but folk are actually paying to get banners made in support for him. Yeah. It's not just a bed sheet and Sharpie job there. That was someone was down at a reprographics company firing that one out. I'm sure it cost a few bob, but hey ho.
Severe lack of Rey Mysterio for my liking. I would have liked at least some of that in there.
I did appreciate the tweet that said, now that Aberdeen have gone 463 minutes without a goal, is anyone else hoping that it gets to 619?
That would be good. I do hope that's the case. And
a nice niche wrestling reference there for you.
I would like that. I'd take some comfort in that, if anything. Also, it wouldn't surprise me if that was we found Derek McInnes' burner on Twitter, if that was a Derek McInnes banner, or maybe Jack's been up north and put it up there outside Pittodrie.
Jack's been up supporting his dad, but the scary thing is if it does get to 619 minutes, that means our next two games are going to have to go goal without us scoring. So that's something to look forward to, folks.
Yeah, I'd like to make it clear that we were joking about the Jack McInnes thing, of course. But it wouldn't surprise me. I tweeted yesterday, if someone from the future came and told me that we just aren't going to score between now and the end of the season, I wouldn't even be shocked. I'd say, oh, okay, that's fine. And I'd accept it. So 619 is not that far away.
No, and I think for me, that's the alarming thing, going back to the point that Ewan made about apathy coming through the support, is I was the exact same as you at full time, like, oh, well, it's just been the exact same as we've watched the last 4 weeks. We now go and face a Celtic team that have won their last 4 games, come from behind today to beat St Johnstone, and it's at Parkhead as well. Like, what's there even to be excited about? Like, yeah, I don't know if it'd been different if we were even going to games, but yeah, you just can't get excited. It's now, for me, the sooner the season ends, the better. The talk in the press conference was, we need to try and achieve third because of the importance that third potentially brings with the Scottish Cup. The manager got a vote of confidence from the directors, and he just served up the same stale football that we've experienced the last 4 games.
And if he said there was too much pressure on them for the Hibs game, surely he's then communicated that with the players, saying there's no pressure, go out and play your football, and that's what they've served up once again.
Also, the conditions, Calum, conditions.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Also, are we playing Celtic away twice?
I believe so, yeah.
So who's going to be forking out money for that? I mean, come on.
Well, actually, the interesting thing is Celtic tend not to offer away fans pay-per-view options anyway. Okay. They certainly haven't to the likes of St Johnstone and Ross County, from what I recall already earlier this season.
Sign up to a Celtic one? Is that what we're going to have to do? Or is it just season tickets or what? Who knows?
I'm sure there'll be some streams on suitable websites that people know of.
Yes, which we definitely don't condone.
No, and anyone paying to watch it,
more fool you, honestly.
Yeah, because the only thing that's likely to be entertaining this week coming up is Tuesday night's Q&A. Yeah,
that will be interesting. I just want the Jaffgate question to come up. I can't imagine questions are going to be getting any better. But it's now probably at the stage, even with that, people aren't going to be asking like serious, hard-hitting questions. They are just like alphabet spaghetti. Like it's
and that's the thing though, the season's just turned into a joke now.
Yeah,
like no one cares anymore. The sooner it's over, the better. We're just trundling along in mediocrity.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, yeah.
The fact that like Michael texted yesterday to say we don't even need to play and you still can't gain decent ground on us. yes, we gained a point, but Hibs aren't going to be running scared of that form we're in.
I mean, we gained a point on Livingston as well. I mean, don't forget. Come on.
Yes, I know. Sorry, but then Dundee United with a good win there will be boosting their top 6 chances. But I suppose the conditions will have played a part. We got a clean sheet though, Calum. Should we be positive about that as well as the likes of Dean Campbell's performance?
Yeah, that's at least something. I think that's probably more through the lack of threat from St Mirren, because for all we didn't do, they didn't do that much either. A few decent runs from like Durmus and things, but that was about it. They
had one decent chance in the first half that I remember Joe Lewis saving.
Yeah.
Even when Obika came on, it didn't do as much as I was expecting, which is obviously a relief. But yeah, it was just kind of a game of a few chances, few incidents, and move on next and try and see when we can next score a goal or create a half decent chance.
Yeah, that'd be
because
nice.
I don't even remember, at least against Hibs, there was half chances or we hit the bar, but yesterday there was nothing clear cut that you thought that should have gone in.
And there was a couple of shots from range. Like I think Kennedy had a couple, Canberra had one. And that's all I can think of, to be honest.
Matty Kennedy came in for a lot of criticism on social media yesterday. Did you kind of agree with that criticism? Or is it just a case of just everyone's in the same boat just now?
That's what I'm saying. Like whenever people get dropped or whatever, I'm just like, what have they done that's worse than like everyone else to warrant that? I don't think he's done any worse than anyone else, in all honesty. And I think crossing as a whole was just a genuine nightmare yesterday. Just it's like Stuart McCormick said on Twitter, it's like we just keep delivering these floaty, shitey crosses that it's just meat and drink for big, huge defenders. And okay, they might get carried up in the wind, but surely whip a ball in, with the wind and all that going on, it might just take a nick off someone, or we might even be able to get on the end of it. That'd be crazy stuff. Why are they doing that instead of this floaty nonsense where it's just, big 6-foot defender, easy to hop up and head it away? What's the point?
Definitely. It's just again, it's what we touched on after the Hibs game. It's a lack of identity. It's lack of ideas from players and manager alike. We're a rudderless ship, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going well, isn't it? We are just saying the same thing week to week. It's only so many times we could do the same podcast after either a draw or a defeat. It's just when we come back at the end of the week to review the Celtic game and preview the Kilmarnock game, I'll tell you that's going to be interesting, especially looking towards the weekend, the form of both ourselves and Kilmarnock. Yeah. At least we might have some like hilarious defending to talk about. That might be entertaining at least. Yeah,
and I suppose we'll go through the Q&A as well and maybe discuss some interesting talking points from there and see if what questions Cormac answers.
I can't even be bothered watching it.
I'll probably watch on Wednesday to pass the time at work. I mean, on my lunch hour.
Yes, of course. Business only.
Looking ahead then to Wednesday, there's really not much to be confident about ahead of the trip to Parkhead, is there?
No, they've even managed to dig out a few wins recently, and today coming back from goal down, there's no confidence whatsoever. And then if they go and steamroll us this Wednesday, then they'll just know that they can do the exact same. You'd like to think any competent team would be like, okay, now we've got a point to prove after that. We know it's just going to be the exact same. We're just going to get absolutely steamrolled.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because I really feel the game on Wednesday is just going to be one of those free hits. I know it's a game in hand, but we're not expecting anything from it. So we go in with no expectation. We go in with no hope. And it's terrible feeling like that going into a game against the Old Firm, but it's what the season's become. I mean, our record at Parkhead in the league generally is pretty atrocious, let alone in going there in the form we're in just now.
We would be as well just going absolutely hell for leather at them because their defence is genuinely awful and we've got nothing to lose. We're not expecting to get anything from it. So we'd be as well just throwing the kitchen sink at them and hoping for the best. Because I mean, they do have Shane Duffy, etc. at the back.
Yeah, I mean that's... But then in saying that, their defence is ropey and has been giving up goals this season. But we need to be in a position to create and take these chances when they arise. And right now, I've seen nothing from our strike force to encourage me or anyone else tuning in that we're likely to do that.
That's what I'm saying. Just go hellful either direct, run at them, all that kind of stuff. Because that's when they poo the bed. But worryingly, they also poo the bed was from set pieces, and we know how bad we are at attacking set pieces and defending them as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the game pans out, certainly. But like I said, 463 minutes without a goal now, and also we've now ticked over 1,100 minutes without a striker scoring from open play. No goal on Wednesday would be a new club record.
I'm down for that, just for a statistic we can use.
Yeah, well, taking from the Red Final, who tweeted out saying that it was first we went 5 games without a goal in 1905, then 1973, and then last year. So it's twice in the space of 12 months we've gone 5 games without a goal. Something is not working. We've changed the whole strike force in that year as well. We've not changed one consistent though, but we'll see how that vote of confidence transpires. Yeah.
It's almost as if the personnel on the pitch aren't the problem. Maybe some tactics and direction from the touchline would maybe not go amiss, but what do we know, I guess? What do we know? I was actually speaking to a Rangers fan I know, God forbid, guy I know, and he was just relaying the exact same stuff that we've been saying. And obviously this man doesn't watch us week in, week out, but if he can see that kind of thing, I mean, for goodness sake, how can some people not? How can people not at the club not?
Well, you look at our review last week after the Hibs defeat when Michael said how isolated you want to make your strikers. Even one of my friends was watching. He actually switched off after 25 minutes. He said, "I don't know how you can watch this week in, week out because it's terrible." But he said Hornby's so isolated up top, and that was then playing with a 2, so we can't even get the balls to our striker. We can't even offer support. How do we expect to score? And it's just fed up, honestly. The sooner the season ends, the better, because it's not enjoyable. It's not fun. It's not entertaining. Honestly, the sooner the better weather comes and no football comes. We were chomping at the bit for football to come back. I know. I can't wait for it to end.
It's never a chore. But not only Michael, the guy I've spoken to as well, but we've also had a few comments from people we don't even know. I think a Hibs fan and a Celtic fan, they've left their thoughts down below, which you can also do on YouTube or tweet us. So there you go. But they've been saying the exact same things, but it's just, I don't know what's going on with Aberdeen and that kind of thing. If they can see it and they're not tuning into us every single week and they know it, I mean, how can I?
I think it's worse when opposition fans
can see it.
See the problem at your own club.
So it's not just us up on our high horse expecting the world. It's genuinely happening.
Yeah, it's worse when other teams from outside of your own camp can see issues. And yeah, it's concerning, but we all know deep down nothing's going to change no matter how bad it gets. I think the only thing that would enforce that change would be no European football next season. But
which is nearly impossible just now.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if the Scottish Cup was to be cancelled as well. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, we'll be back at the end of the week, looking back. Looking back on the Celtic game and trying to look forward to the Kilmarnock game. I mean, you just need to look at the form table to know that game's not going to be an exciting game of football. You just need to look at both teams' inability to score to know that that's not going to be an entertaining game of football. But we'll try our best to build it up nicely.
And any history other than a stick out 5-1 win of games of Tommy Wright versus Derek McInnes, just look at those to know it's not going to be good.
Yeah, exactly. And then just a final point, just as a way of interest, it'd be good to hear people's opinions. You can comment down below, as Calum's already touched on, or tweet us if you'd like us to do a watch along on one of the games this season. Calum's shaking his head at the thought of that, but there's been a lot of comments yesterday I saw on the Red TV coverage, Keith Monroe said, do you want to do a drinking game and take a shot every time they mention the conditions? And I think you'd have been on the floor by half time if you applied those rules. But as something different, you know, obviously we can't do the commentary at Pittodrie, but you know, we could always do a watch along live on the YouTube channel. So if it's something you'd maybe find interesting, then why don't let us know?
That sounds like my hell on earth. I'd like to make that abundantly clear.
It might be enjoyable. You might get to hear very honest opinions that you don't often hear.
But we'd have to pay attention for 90 minutes. That's the problem.
But if you look at the likes of Gogsy doing it for Motherwell, he sits doing live and drink. So we'll just sit getting drunk for 90 minutes watching Aberdeen.
I've been drunk twice in the last 9 months, Glen. What are you trying to do to me here?
So if you'd like to see Calum drunk in 90 minutes, then comment below.
Don't encourage this sort of behaviour. Stay safe.
Yes, drink and gamble responsibly.
Very true. But I think on that note, that United made me sad at the thought of that, we should probably leave it there, shall we?
I think we shall.
Well, don't forget to subscribe, as we mentioned a few times. Follow us wherever you're listening, on Twitter as well. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and thank you very much to Skylights for letting us use YRA as our intro and outro music. I fumbled my way through it. Thanks for coming.